fact, has written quite a few pieces on the changing Indian women and how the society, brand, marketers are reacting and changing to their needs. He's also said that in spite of women emancipation and women being at the helm of affairs in many fields, there are no overt efforts on their part to change the facade of patriarchal society. So what do you think? Will they continue to do so, or will there be a complete takeover by them at some point? Will they? This is a question I want to pose to the men before I come to Shivata. Do you think women will become all powerful after some time, or will they continue to be the power behind the throne? Be very careful, boys.
No, men are careful about this. I'm reminded of another great Bengali, Nirasri Chaudhary. He said, my father always thought he ran the family, but didn't know. I think you better understand to a certain extent, power is not that simple. See, I want to make 3 comments. First, I think this change is overrated. I'm reminded of my friend Ashish Nandi, once describing my last institute, the CSDS, as composed of 5 young men of 70 and 15 old men of 30. I think we have to be a bit careful that change and speed are 2 different things. Change requires a framework of values. I think that's the point we're trying to make. And 2 things, value and values. And I think change comes when you work with frameworks, not with an assortment of data. Because you can increase the intensity of society by fragmenting it. But the minute you look for frames, and advertisement is the way of looking at frames. I'll tell you what it does. The word vulgarization is misleading. The important thing is invention. In advertisement, you sometimes invent oxymorons, a new self. But I think what is interesting is you democratize democracy. The old notion of democracy was a middle class word. You talked about socialism. You had the disciplined body. Socialism suppressed desire. Now, desire explodes. And you have new ways of thinking about desire and being unabashedly engaging in desire. Whether it's sexuality, consumption, anything, even dreaming differently. So I think vulgarization and populism capture both the effects and the nadir of a new process of democracy. There are tensions, but I'll tell you where the silence is. It's not in sexuality and desire, it's in violence. And I think we captured it in feticide. Because if India continued its current rates of feticide for the next 4 years, we would have killed more babies than the Nazi Holocaust. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, economists gave you a fragmented statistic. But if you look at the kind of appeals made by the Christian Medical College alone, what we are facing is genocide. And the body becomes central to the language of advertising. It's the ethics of the body. And that's why I said, here are 2 old-fashioned ethicists trying to escape their responsibility by pretending to be vulgarizers. Because I think when you look at the history of the body, something new is happening. Let me just quickly, let's go back to Bengal's history. The 2 facts that made the Indian state was the Bengal famine, 3 million people died systematically, and the partition. 1.6 million people died, 26 million people are displaced. That the history of the body begins with 2 acts of violence. And then advertisement says, look, despite the history of these 2 bodies, let me give you a series of micro bodies which is going to invent the body in a new way. Socialism froze the body politic. And when liberalization came, the body politic explodes. And I think this book captures that transition. It's the story of many bodies, multi-bodies, juggling together. You call it bazaar, you call it advertising. In fact, this is a new kind of constitutionalism. But it's not the constitution of the formal economy, it's the constitution of the informal economy. And it's a beautiful theory of freedom. Because when he says everything happens on a road, and the road is the last commons, I think he's making a tremendous statement about freedom, desire, and violence.